couple things I want to talk about that I've heard. First of all, year after year after year, when we've been debating these, the 17 years I've been here, one of the things we always hear in the courts committee about gun owners is we hear that they're the most sort of knowledgeable, careful, law-abiding people on the planet, that they know the rules, that they follow the rules. For some reason, the other side seems to think that all these people that are law-abiding, knowledgeable, follow the rules, aren't going to be able to follow these, and they're going to become criminals. I'm kind of perplexed, because I'm not clear how you can have it both ways. Number one. Number two, I would say that this bill doesn't make anyone in Virginia a criminal. It doesn't ban a specific gun or piece of equipment that anyone owns today. If you have an assault rifle, you can keep it. If you have an assault pistol, if you want to have one of these pistols with a silencer on it and a pistol grip in the front, a really big pistol, if you want to have one with a telescope on it or lasers or whatever else you want, that's okay. You just can't buy a new one, and you can't sell it to anybody. If you want to have a magazine with more than 15 bullets, you can keep that too. You just can't buy a new one, and you can't sell the one you got to somebody. It also doesn't ban possession of those things unless you bought them after July 1 of 2026. That's what the bill says. It also is not a taking, because the government does not make your assault rifle with its telescopes and tripods and lasers and everything else illegal. You can keep it. So it's not valueless. You can actually even sell it to a firearm dealer if you want under this bill. So you can actually get money for it. That means, you know what? It's not a taking. Under any interpretation of taking I've ever heard. Next, it talks about how we're drawing some lines about bad guns and good guns. You know what? Today, if we don't pass this law, if the governor doesn't sign it, you still can't own a fully automatic machine gun unless you have a certain special, very special kind of license. We have already drawn those kinds of lines in Virginia. I remember debating those before. But you know what? There's some things you can't buy today, like flamethrowers or rocket launchers. You can't have your own tank. That's the law in America today. Why? Because these are weapons of war that are used to kill humans. They're designed to maximize human carnage and to kill people. You don't hunt animals with a tank or a flamethrower. So this is why we don't allow these things. Now the bill still allows you to have all the hunting rifles you want. The bill still allows you to buy and sell and possess all the shotguns you want, as long as it doesn't have more than 7 rounds, I think, or 15 rounds. The bill also says you can have handguns. You just can't have a handgun that you can attach a silencer to it. You know who used the handgun with a silencer? The guy that shot up the municipal building in Virginia Beach. How many lives do you think might have been saved if he hadn't used a silencer? Just curious. If people had heard the shots and they hadn't been quiet, how many lives do you think would have been saved? Madam President, this bill is going to save lives. There's all kinds of data we could talk about all day long about how these weapons are overrepresented in firearm death cases. And I want to remind the body that when we had a crime commission meeting in December, one of the presentations we heard was the amount of money that it costs Virginia every year for firearm injuries. We heard from the Virginia Department of Health that firearm injuries in Virginia cost this state $750 million in health care costs a year. That doesn't include time off work, doesn't include lost jobs, doesn't include the dead people and the value of their lives over the rest of their lives. A lot of these, by the way, are suicides, I would note. although those don't really result in healthcare costs. It's the people who live that cost us healthcare. And I want you to just think about that for a second. $750 million it costs us in healthcare costs. We have 8 million Virginians. That means $100 a person, $100 a year of what you pay in health insurance is paying for somebody's firearm injuries. $4,000 sitting in this room, out of every single pocket in this room, not including your family members, is going to pay for firearm injuries. If you have a 4-person family, you're paying $400 a year because some people can't stop from shooting other people that live. Think about that. And that doesn't include the lost wages and everything else. This bill is a targeted public policy solution to a really bad problem that will make our state safer. We need to pass it. Thank you, Madam President. To answer the senator's question, a police officer has to have probable cause before they can interfere with somebody's liberty. And so an officer would have to have probable cause to believe that a particular magazine has more than 15 bullets, or that otherwise have to have probable cause to believe that that gun is in violation of the statute. And if you read the statute, all of the characteristics which are prohibited are characteristics which can be observed using your eyeballs, looking at the piece of equipment. They're not anything you have to inspect you would be able to figure out outside to develop probable cause. That's the best way I would answer his question.
Madam President, will the gentleman for Eastern Fairfax continue for a question?
I'll yield.
Senator, will you yield?
Madam President, I ask the gentleman that how far away does he think you would have to be to see if a firearm has a threaded barrel?
Senator from Fairfax.
Madam President, I would say that the only way you can see if something has a threaded barrel or not is to look inside of it. And again, you couldn't ask to see somebody's gun unless you have probable cause to believe it has a threaded barrel. And the only other way I think you could determine whether it has the threaded barrel or not is if it has either a silencer or a flash suppressor attached to it, which would then tell you it has a threaded barrel because that's the only way you can attach a flash suppressor or a silencer or whatever to one of those guns. So if you see a gun with a silencer on it, then you could check to see if it has, you could say, sir, interfere with their liberty, stop them, say, I'd like to look at your gun. Otherwise, they're just walking around with a semi-automatic handgun. You don't have probable cause to say, I'd like to do a gun inspection today. That's not how our Constitution works.
Madam President, I asked the senator from Eastern Fairfax, how many of the individuals does he think would be saved, and how does he think that the individual who was stopped? Does he think it was from a criminal with a gun?
Senator from Eastern Fairfax.
Madam President, what I do know is that the weapon used was an H&K USP compact tactical 45 caliber pistol equipped with a suppressor, and also a 45 caliber Glock 21 pistol, which he never used. And that he had, I guess, numerous magazines, I think 15 round magazines, if I'm not mistaken. And I would just submit that if I were in a building and I were hear something what I thought sounded like firearm or shots going off, I would get out and run as fast as I could. And if you got somebody who's in there shooting up a building with a silencer and you have no idea people are even being shot, you're just going to sit there until you're shot yourself. And so I haven't read the police report. I don't know who found out what, when, where they were shot, or what room they were in. But I would submit that if he was using a noisy gun, probably a lot fewer people would have been killed. That's my suspicion.
The clerk will close the roll.
It's 21, noes 19.